Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CM Trading. Today is March 5th, 2021, and today is Friday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the U.S. markets continue to trade lower. Now, the rotation continues, but first, looking at the major economic events of the day, 3:30 South African time out of the United States, NFP number coming out, very important number, and historically speaking, we look to rotate in these type of days. Now, looking at the various markets, starting out with the currencies, the US dollar getting stronger versus the major pairs as we're watching the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ both sell off. Now, looking at commodities, gold continues to trade lower, closer to that 1700, while oil continues to push higher. And looking at the stocks, Tesla continues to trade lower as that rotation happens. And there were certain stocks that actually took us higher yesterday. We're going to take a look at it. And lastly, looking at Bitcoin, it retraces, but it's still trading in a range. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're going to first take a look at the Euro USD. And this is really important because when the dollar gets stronger, or when the Dow Jones sells off, the dollar gets stronger. Okay, it's an inverse relationship, and we're seeing that quite clearly here. And as we're hitting this 1945, now this is a very, very important support level. We hit it once before. So if it does break this area, we may see a correctional move. Now, there is a major number coming out today, okay? Namely, we have the NFP coming out today. And with the NFP coming out, you know, this is usually a pivot situation. We find ourselves at a certain major threshold, like a support level, which we are right now, and then we bounce off of it off the news. So sometimes they just head it into the news, kind of priming it for that massive kind of move on the upside. However, okay, just be aware that that's not always the case. Now, looking at the GBP USD, it did retrace, but again, not that big of a deal as much as the Euro USD did retrace. Now, jumping into gold, look at this. We're breaking that 1700. Okay, if we look at a 4-hour chart, we can see that 1696 a little bit clearer. Now, to give us perspective, we need to look at a weekly chart. Now, this is really very, very important. This is where technical trading is at its finest. We had a previous high here, okay, when we ran into last February, okay, after that, you know, right before the pandemic. That was our previous high. We were trading at 1700 and we're right back there. Okay, so this is really a very, very important level. Now, if we do break this, we could see it back in the 15 to 1600-ish area. Okay, which would be very, very new to us. Okay, since we haven't seen this in about a year. Now, looking at oil popping up, okay, after the OPEC meetings, 64.92 at almost $65 a barrel, and this is really just showing some strength going into this area. Okay, now at this area, we're at all-time highs for the year. I mean, you can't even see that from the daily chart. You could see it a little bit better. From October to now, we've almost doubled in price. Okay, so a couple of things there. Number one, namely because the output, okay, namely because OPEC is pushing the prices higher. Number two, because we're expecting the markets to open up in the next 3 to 6 months because of all the vaccination that's being distributed around the world. So with that said, very aggressive move for the price of oil over the past 3 months. Now, looking at the Dow Jones, look at that. What a crazy day we had yesterday. Nosedive to 30,548, and this is like on last week's nosedive since we've had. So we've had a lot of the word I'm looking for, that we've had a lot of volatility here when we're looking at the Dow Jones. Now, it's a mixed bag, okay? It's not everything is across the board that's selling off. There were certain sectors that were strong, like Google was strong, but everything else is really very, very weaker, okay? Looking at the NASDAQ, that's really where the weakness is stemming from. Because if we look at Amazon, blowing that 3,000-ish level, okay? This is the first time we're at 2,900 in quite some time. Microsoft also selling off to 226. If we look at some of the others, Apple continually selling off below that 120-ish level, which is a very important level. Now, looking at the other stocks like JP Morgan, it's off, but it's not that off of its all-time high. So this is a rotation in the markets. Mostly the semiconductors got really hammered yesterday. Now Tesla also retracing quite significantly as the market is kind of, seeing that it's way overvaluated with the price of Tesla as well. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin right before the end of the week, 47,452. We are in a bona fide trading range. Okay, the upper range at 51, 52-ish thousand, and the lower range at 45-ish thousand, but we're right smack in the middle of that. So I don't anticipate any major stuff today, but just realize that the volatility has continued in the markets. Okay, so lots of opportunity, especially in the Dow Jones. Unbelievable day yesterday. So just pick your points, okay, especially with this NFP number coming out later today. This is Fred Razak, and we wish you guys a great trading day and a beautiful weekend. Thank you.